Welcome to another edition of In the Box Seat podcast with myself, Warren Lenferner, and my trusted friend on my left, Andrew Harrison. Very special podcast today because we've got some very influential people, some horsemen and horsewomen of the highest order on today's podcast. But the only problem, Andrew, before we introduce our guests, is that where they're situated, it's so far away that you and I couldn't get there, so we've had to go with the Zoom platform. We're a bit old, you and me, for Zoom.
Well, if you'd paid the fee, I would have been there like a shot. I love the Karoo.
Yeah, the Karoo. That's who we're talking to today, ladies and gentlemen, the whole band of Karoo Breeders. And let's quickly tell you who will be on our podcast. We've got David Southey of Southford Stud, Skulky van der Walt of Gelijkfontein Stud, Dickie Roberts of Royspruit Stud. Then there's, of course, Marnie Strauss, a Blue Karoo farm, just a newly born farm is Blue Karoo. They've had success already. We'll talk more about that just now. And, of course, Trevor Rouse, who's a Henham Stud, and Leon and Amanda Lotz from Henningsfontein. Let's get the ball rolling. And, David, I'm going to start with you, and it's lovely to have you all on our podcast. Just tell us a little bit about how it all started for you. That's basically going to be the question for everybody, the first question. How did this all start for you, David?
Okay, well, we go back 3 generations. My grandfather was a small farmer. That was sort of 1940s. Then my dad was through the 1950s. And I came in just after varsity, about 1966 is when I started. I ran my dad's stud for a couple of years, which was a Montague stud. And then I started, my dad didn't really want to have amalgamations and that sort of thing. So we each had our own studs. So I started Southford Stud 1966, when I actually moved our original farm, which was where Montague stud was expropriated by the Karoo Dam. And we had to then move, and we had this little place on the river where Southford was actually started. That's on the Orange River, just below the Karoo Dam. So I started there, and I brought Dad's mares over to me, and we had to start from scratch. We didn't even have stables. I mean, we were told to vacate Groenfontein very suddenly, and so I had to build stables and all that sort of thing to start. And we brought over 2 stallions at the time. One was Basunzu, an owned Tudor horse by owned Tudor out of Bodra, marked by Blenheim, out of Fry's Lady by Fry, out of Fry by Fry. I forget the other one now, but anyway, and Ankara, they stood with me, and soon after that, well, they died, and we had to get another stallion. So my dad suggested that I go and see Alan Robertson, and he said to me, look, you can't do better than buy local. He said overseas, the main focus in those days was on the classic horse, the mile and this sort of thing. And he said sprinters are relatively easy to buy, but in the early years of 1950s, we bought top sprinters from England, Drumbeat and Fairthorn and all those horses. So he suggested that we buy a son of one of those. So we went and bought Damask at the Maritzburg sales, bought him there, paid an enormous figure of 3,500 Rand, I think. And he was a magnificent horse. Are you there?
Yes, we're listening to you.
Okay. Anyway, so we brought him there, and magnificent horse. He won 17 races. He was by Fairthorn out of the imported mare Moni Dam. And well, he was an instant success. He was the leading first season sire. We didn't have many mares. I think he had 28 or 29 mares in his first crop. And I think we had something like nine or 10 juvenile winners, but he was an instant success. And that's when it started. Okay, I don't know if here I am to do 82 years old and still going, one of the oldest guys around. So we're holding on.
Well, as Andrew said, you're looking fine for 82, so that's wonderful. Now let's move our attention, Andrew. I think to the female on the which we should have actually started with her first, but I'm sure she'll let us off the hook for that. But Marnie Strauss, who actually is a vet, we're going to focus on you now and Blue Karoo Farm. Your husband Johan, and he's a livestock man of the highest order. But you've only just recently started, Marnie. Talk to us.
Okay, so Blue Karoo, it actually started with a riding accident, a minor riding accident, and I was stuck in my bed for 3 months. And the online sales just started, and I bought my first mare there in 2021. I bought for 5,000 rand, and first yearling sold for 400 at the Cape sales now. I had a minor riding accident, and I thought I wouldn't be able to work as a vet anymore. So I changed my plans a bit, and I bought my first mare on one of the online sales from BSA. I bought my first 2 mares there. It was actually 2 imported mares. And the one mare has been very successful for us. That's where it all started. My love for horses was born with me. Since I can remember, I wanted to ride and have horses and breed horses. And I've learned a lot from all these guys, from Wim Skalk, Leon, Wim David, Gary Playerstad when he was still here in the Karoo as well. And Guy Murdoch has taught me a lot. So that's where the dream came from. And at the moment, I've only got 6 mares. Using the stallions around us. Leon brought Lance to us, which was very nice. It makes our traveling a lot easier. And then we've got the Mauritsfontein stallions, and otherwise we have to take the long journey to the Cape, which is quite a distance to travel.
Tell me, Marnie, are you the vet in the area? Do you cover all the stats?
I'm one of the vets in the area. Gavin Rouse is our other vet. So these guys keep us busy during the season, especially the breeding season. Lots of breeding work, which is what I like. I like the breeding work. So keeps us busy.
And whereabouts is your farm? Is it?
So we off the N1 at Karoo Dam. We've got a place called Donkerpoort Animal Healthcare, which is almost a horse hotel. We've had probably all the great runners in the country stop with us. New Turf and Choice stops with us quite often, just to let the horses have a walk and a roll in the stables and relax a bit. All the horses traveling now. We've had the horses going to Natal, got all those runners coming, and then when they come back, they stop with us again just to relax a bit.
Right. So Donkerpoort.
Donkerpoort Animal Healthcare. We're about 4 kilometers off the N1 at Karoo Dam.
Yes.
That's where we are.
Okay. Now I've been to David Southey's. I stopped off there one time on the way back from Cape Town. Went down to the river, and I came back about 9 foot taller because of all the dibblekes that were stuck in my shoes. Right. Thank you, Marnie. Can we speak to Skalky, please? Skalky, are you there?
Hello, yes, Andrew, I'm here.
Skalk, I went past your farm many years ago. You're on the other side of Karoo, and all I saw were horses running around in the Klatin there in the bush.
Oh yes, so you've been here.
Drove past, yes.
And Skalk, so you've been breeding horses, Skalky. You've been going on that farm breeding horses since as far back as 1932. Is that correct?
Yeah, it is. It's actually 1934 because these were the first 2 yearlings to be sold in Johannesburg. They were sold at Newmarket because there were those stables. After that, we were selling at the showgrounds, the old showgrounds. And so we all started in actually 1934. Because those were sold in 1937.
What did they sell for in those days, Skalks? What was the amount how much were those horses sold for?
They were sold, the one was sold for 150 guineas, and the other one he leased. But your wool check, like your whole wool check, was also 100 or 200 or 300 pounds. So that was a good price for those days.
I know that breeders want to sell. We understand that breeders want to sell because, you know, to get the money in, to get the money turning. But you mentioned leasing. You remember we leased a nice horse from you, a lovely filly. We raced together. So that was a lease.
Yes, that's right.
Correct. And then, Skalky, I mean, you must have seen so much in this industry. Times have changed. How have you adapted to those changes?
Oh yeah, of course. Because before that, it was a problem. I mean, you couldn't examine your mares for maybe for double follicles and things. We bred a champion mare. She was the champion racehorse of South Africa. Yes, she is, and she made twins all over and over because the technology wasn't there. Like now, you can it's easy. The vet comes and they put the scanner in and it shows one follicle or two or three. So you avoid twins. And so the technology has changed a lot. And also you can scan your mares and see whether they properly infoal, all sorts of technology that we didn't have in those days.
Where did you get the name Skulks? Gelijk Fontein.
Okay, gelijk means in Afrikaans level. It's very flat where the homestead is a flat area with big vleis and the wood veld that stretches flat wide out, and that means flat. Actually, a level. It's very level.
Wel Skalkie, jy het ook Nguni cattle, Nguni beeste.
Yeah, that only came much later in 1984. I started that in 1984, where the racehorse stud already started in 1934. And I was, when my father passed away in 1977, and I was already with him for 7 or 8 years, partners in the stud. So from there on, after 77, I went on my own, and then in 84, I started also with Nguni cattle.
I see that Trevor's there. Welcome, Trevor. Sorry about that technical issues, but nice to have you with us.
Thanks very much.
Lovely, Trevor. We'll come back to you in a moment. Thank you, Trevor. Let's go and talk quickly with Dickie Roberts, Richard Roberts, and find out a bit more about him and of course Roy Spruit Farm, Dickie, which was owned by Ormond Ferraris, the legend Ormond Ferraris at one stage, wasn't it?
That's correct. My career with horses started in 1963 when I joined the Jockeys Academy in Pinetown, Marion Hill, and I was a jockey most of my life. And as I got older now, got to branch out to new territory. And with Roy Spruit, I was introduced to Mr. Clive Barnard by Mr. Ferraris, which I've known for a long time, since 1968. Him and I have been friends. So this is how I come to interbreeding fraternity, with Mr. Barnard being owner of Roy Spruit Stud.
And Dickie, do you stand a stallion at all? No?
No, we don't have a stallion, no. We take our mares out to the different farms, to whichever stallion the owners want horses to go to, and then we take them to those farms, to the stallions.
How did you take the transition, Dickie, from riding them to breeding them?
Well, I think like everything in life, I think things change, so you have to adapt to it, you see. And riding career of jockeys doesn't last forever. As you know, many injuries happen, and that force a lot of jockeys out of the game, and then look at another avenue to go into. And this is what happened with me. And I must say that being with horses now is like being part of my life from the age of 14.
Let's go and talk to Leon now, because Leon is the man who assisted me in putting this together. And ladies and gentlemen, we've been talking a long time about actually coming down to the Karoo and bringing my wife with and making a holiday of it, but we just haven't had the time to get there. But we will eventually. So Leon, thanks for all your help in getting this put together. So let's find out about you and your story, Leon.
Warren, look, it's a privilege for me sitting here this morning and listening and being close to all these people. I've trained winners from Skalkie. I've trained winners from David when I was training horses in Kimberley. Trevor House was with me at university. Yeah, it's an absolute privilege, just short and sweet for that. To have somebody like Marnie around us is, I mean, to have a vet close up. Her husband can help you with goats, from goats to cattle, and she can help you with horses. Yeah, sadly, the horse, the injury she got was a horse I can't remember. I think I sold it to her. I still feel bad about it.
No, hasn't she?
But luckily she recovered. So, yeah, look, my thing started after university. I started working for Nick Larson at the stud where Forest King was standing, and we had Blazing Hoofs there. Then Nick sold the farm in Volksrust, moved to Port Elizabeth. He gave me Blazing Hoofs and 10 mares for free. Then I went from there with the mares to Jackie Mills, became assistant trainer. Jackie Mills helped me, but he was at meetings and all this racing association and trainers associations all the time. So I had to run the business over there while I was working in a factory. Many a times Jack phoned me and said he can't saddle horses. I must get to the race course. We had one specific filly called Sunquest. She won 3 times when I saddled her. Then I used to sort of AWOL away from the factory. I had this agricultural degree, couldn't get work after Nick moved as in the agriculture. There was a massive drought in the country. So I started working as an operator, first as a laborer in the factory in Sasolburg, where my father was a mechanical engineer. And I qualified as the main locomotive driver of the factory, training horses with Jackie Mills early in the morning when I worked night shifts. So night shifts, 100% with the horses. If I finished night shift, I was off to the Vaal Racecourse. So it happened many times that I ran out the factory with my blue overall and my orange safety hat, because you had to clock in and out when you go out the factory. So I had a friend at security. I see a friend that I picked up this morning in security is Gavin Fenter. But in any case, I ran out to this overall in my car, drove 180 kilometers to the Vaal Racecourse, jumped out my overall, got my suit on, my tie, saddled the horse, stood in the ring. And then some of those factory managers were going to the Vaal at those stage. They never put one and one together that the oak that was supposed to be the overall was now standing at the racecourse. And they never caught me. The factory never exploded while I wasn't there. I was so nervous getting back there. And so eventually I got work in the agricultural sector, in the fertilizer industry. Bought a small farm in Kimberley, where the old owner, Tommy Smith, he had a lot of horses with Brett Warren in his days. So he helped me with the farm, and a very good friend of mine, Ken Chi, that owned Tickets and Tax. So Nick helped me to get my own license. Started training in Kimberley. Couldn't afford buying horses on the sales and started breeding with those 10 mares. Of the first crop, we bred a nothing to a nothing. We bred the horse that won the Gold Cup, not the Gold Cup, the Algoa Cup in Port Elizabeth, which was a Group 3 at that stage, beating Dunford and Polo Classic. The intention was never to breed horses for sales. Then we went through a bad patch with a family murder and stuff, and I stopped training. We moved to the Karoo, and look, this disease and horses, I really love it. It's something I can't get rid of. There's nothing better looking at a foal and it wins the maiden plate for me. So I said to my son, listen, I've got to start training horses again. There was 10 stables on the stable where he's on the farm. So when I started buying horses, he closed up 2 stables. And he said, Dad, you can only have 8. If I leave these 2 other stables open, you're going to have 10. So we started training horses here in the Karoo. And eventually we started breeding. More or less when COVID started, people gave horses away and stuff. So I said, well, I've got to buy or breed some horses for myself. And then Lance came away, actually quid pro quo. And then Armand said, listen, I can't train all these horses and do this and that. You've got to sell some of them. So I think 2 years back, we sold the first 3 horses at Natal sale. And now we're here. We're sitting now with 30 mares. Lance is there. Skalkie gave me Rebel King. Likey gave me Port Rush. The olden days. And Lance had a winner. Was it yesterday? No, Rebel King had a winner yesterday. Lance had a winner the previous day. And during the month, we had a Rebel King winner in Port Elizabeth. My daughter just had a second in the first race. And we had a proper bet. But we unfortunately we had second, but paid 784 place. So yeah, this is where we are.
So Leon, how did you come by Lance? How did you end up on your farm?
Look, when I stopped training, for me, the best trainer in the country with group races is Sean Terry. So although we're not friends or anything, I used to follow him always. And I mean, he just proved again, was it last Saturday? He won almost all those big races. So then I followed Lance with him. And I think Anthony Delpech rode him once. So we started with the horses again after, I don't know, 6-7 years. And then I saw this horse was at stud with Summerhill. I sent him a mare. The next season, I sent him a mare. And then people gave me horses. Graham Costa, he's actually the culprit here. He gave me horses with a very good intention and mares. So then I needed a stallion. So I phoned Summerhill and said, I see this horse is not getting mares. It's not a possibility that they can send him to me. Then they said I must phone Chris van Niekerk's son. And then he started talking to his father. Klaver Vlei helped. They had a meeting. It took a long time. It took about 4 or 5 months in negotiation. Eventually, they said, right, the horse can come to me. But the intention was to breed horses for ourselves, not for the sales. And he arrived, and I think within the 6 months, he was here. After the first season, we had him. Quid pro came along. Yeah, we've got foots at weanings of Lance now. I think I've got 9. Yeah, there's 9 foals, 9 or 7. And Rebel King. So yeah, Chris van Niekerk helped me a lot. Trusted me in the horse, and all the other breeders around me sent him mares last season. So yeah, we got quite a lot. I think we've got like 43 mares in foal with Lance this season.
All right, so he's been well supported.
On Slade and them that's not here also supported us with very good mares. So this is where we are. We're hoping for the best.
Thanks, Leon. Can we cross to Trevor Rouse? Trevor, are you there?
Yes, I'm listening.
Oh, good. Found you.
Trevor just there were just some issues with the signal, but it's sorted now. So wonderful to have Trevor with us.
Trevor, you started. Your father started the farm that now I see 1967.
It was 1962. He was the vet in Colesberg, and then the racing was a boom. Yeah, all the big studs were here, and that's how he started. And we've just carried on from there. Yes, we took over from him in '92 when he passed away, and it was more of a back. The rest of the farming was more important than the horses, and it's only been in the last couple of years that we've more concentrating on the horses, going to better stallions, upgrading the mares and that kind of thing. So hopefully it'll look better in the future.
How do you find traveling? I mean, the Karoo sort of was Karoo Breeders from Archie Dell's era and Terry Silcock and those chaps there. But you've had trouble getting really top class stallions there. So do you have to outsource all the time?
The whole district went through a bad time where it chose the wrong stallions. So it snowballed. It dampened your pedigree. But now travel out. I can remember as a youngster that 30 kilometers was too far to go to a stallion, and now we travel 750 to 800 kilometers to a stallion.
Yeah, well, I think that's that's been one of the Achilles heels of the Karoo Breeders of today. You've had to travel to get to the commercial stallions.
No, we've got to travel, and the permits going into the Cape doesn't make it easy, but we work around it and get the paperwork done before the time, and then there's no problem.
Yeah, I'm surprised that the Karoo you have to get papers to get into the Western Cape.
Yes, no, you do. Luckily, during the breeding season, there isn't an outbreak of horse sickness here, so we haven't been restricted. It's just paperwork. You get them on your paper. But hopefully, we don't get an outbreak in breeding season time. Then it's not stop us from going. To Natal, we also travel to Natal. It's very much the same distance to Moiriver. And we go there as well. It's either to Natal or down Robertson all the way.
I'm surprised it's so dry in the Karoo. I don't think those muchies would last there.
Yeah, no, they do. Yeah.
Trev, your brother Gavin is he can't be on the show with us today because I believe he's in a helicopter with darting some game and working with game today. Is that right?
Yes, there's a big game farm in the area, and I don't know exactly why, but and with buffalo and then do the blood test and everything. So I'm not 100% sure what he's up to.
There was a horse that came off your farm going back some time, Henham Stud, called, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, Tucson. Is that right?
Tucson, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, she's fantastic. Now, let's go back to Marnie, the vet in the area and the breeder. Your first or one of your first sales, Marnie, are you with us, Marnie?
I've got you guys, yeah?
One of the first sales, you took 2 horses to the Cape Yearling sales, and you got 400,000 Rand for your Denon Platina. I mean, for being so early in the industry and one of your first sales, that must have been really a special moment for you.
Yeah, no, he was special from day one. I remember Leon and David, everybody that came to the practice and saw him from day one, he just stood out. Lovely dark bay colt. And the mare is by New Approach, a Galileo mare, and I believe that cross is just with the Danons are just doing very well at the moment. So yeah, we hope to see him very soon in the track. He's now probably next year you'll be a juvenile, and can't wait to see him.
Who bought him and who's training him? Do you know?
Mauritian guy, you just caught me off guard. McLachlan.
Des McLachlan, Choppy's McLachlan.
That's it, yeah. That's it. They bought it.
It's probably Denny Le Breton, I think is his name. That's the client of Choppy's. Okay, well that's fantastic. And then let's go back to Skulky. There was let's just get Skulky's attention. Are you with us, Skulks?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. We were just talking about, and I'm going to give everybody the chance to answer the question about some successes at the sales. I'm not sure which sale it was, but there were very recently you went on to the rostrum with Graham Hawkins and you had a successful sale, one of your better sales. Do you remember that occasion?
The green that
So,
year, I entered 2 horses that year for the national sale, and they gave me both, and both went for over 500,000. And the one turned out to be Ecstatic Green, and she was a champion race filly.
Yes.
She was really a smart filly. She was by Gimme the Green Light. That year was a very good sale. And it's such a long time that we've been breeding. We had good sales and we had mediocre sales, but we stay in the business. So because the passion, we've got such a passion for race horses that it's a part of our life. That so it's similar to other farming. Other farming is the same. Some years you've got a good crop of sheep and wool and whatever, or cattle, and then the same with race horses. Some years you've got the outstanding crop and you get outstanding prices. So you must have the passion and you must persevere. That's the main thing, and otherwise you mustn't be in this game.
Just a question to one of you. What makes the Karoo such a special place to breed horses? I know the Western Cape, they've got all the cash and the fancy stallions and whatever, but the horses that come from the Karoo, they're really a solid specimen of a horse. What makes it so special to breed in the Karoo?
See, if you once you breed a special horse, it really affects you, because next year you bring a full brother or a half sister or whatever, and if once you breed a good horse, the demand is there for the next foal from that mare. And what also makes it interesting is easy in I feel it's easier in the Karoo because we breed them more natural. Yeah, they grow up more natural. I don't say we better than other areas, but all I can tell you is that when I was young, the Karoo was one of the biggest horse breeding areas. There were just around me were 31 breeders, and next to my farm was the Henry Norse. He was a mining magnate with 400 horses, and he had 5 farms. So in those days it became a very famous horse area. Also, the very first brood mares and stallions that came in was established in Middelburg. Middelburg is a neighbor town, and that's where the whole racing breeding started with the Saudi brothers there. So this area was very famous. July winners, Metropolitan winners, all from this area. I don't say other areas didn't breed good horses, but this area was very well established for a racehorse area and with many breeders. And over the years, it's changed a lot now because the breeders are moving closer to the racing centers and all sorts of things. And many of the breeders passed away and their children didn't go on with racehorses. But I stuck into it and I love it, and I dream of racehorses every day. I'll be very unhappy if I don't see horses around me. So the passion is very important, and of course one makes a living also from it. That's also important, but it's a very interesting breeding. This is one of the most interesting animals to breed, race horses, because it's so different from other animals. You go so deep into everything with the pedigrees and the looks and the people you meet. And I went overseas in England when I was only 27 years old. pick stallions there. We was R1.40 to a British pound, so we could pick the best horses. And I picked one there, and he was second leading first season sire. Only Jungle Cove was better than him. And then I picked another one, Song of Songs in the UK, in this little green Bibles from England where you find all their racehorses. I picked him from there as the fastest 2-year-old in England. And when he came here, we had him at my stud, and immediately in his first crop, he was champion first season sire, and he bred champion 2-year-olds, and they also went on, and they were good 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds, and so he was really a top stallion. But the adventure to be going to the UK and pick horses there and meet the guy, even met the Queen there at Newmarket, when we went to the races, and all sorts of people, and Colonel Hastings, Sir Philippine Galway, they were prominent English horsemen that you meet, and all the famous trainers there. I can't explain to you what experience that was. I mean, people that haven't done that has missed a lot in life, because it's fantastic to go to the UK and see all the top horses. One day there was the sprint, the main sprint race there at Newmarket, and Sharper was there, a horse by Sharpen up. And I just watched him, and I liked him, but I saw he had exceptionally bent hocks, but curb hocks. And when you bring horses to the sales with curb hocks, they throw them off. He had the worst curb hocks that I've ever seen on a horse, and he won that Group 1 sprint going away. Woo, he was fast. Now, it's things like that makes racehorses very interesting, because I mean, with other animals like cattle and sheep, there's also competitions and things, but you can't compare it with racehorses. When you breed a top horse, I mean, if you look at this mare, she was racehorse of South Africa. We bred her here. I was already with my dad, and she was the best filly for the first 100 years of horse racing. Her name was renounced. I mean, she won five Group 1 races, and she was the only filly ever to breed Sea Cottage, who was a champion. He was a superior horse, Sea Cottage, and she was the only filly that could beat him once in a race. So it's things like that makes life, well, you can't explain it to people, but that makes life just different from other breeding and other farming.
David, I'd like you to talk about a horse from 1997, Patchouli Dancer, and then I want you to talk about a horse that's now an 8-time winner called Trafalgar Square. We're not comparing the two, but we want to hear about Patchouli Dancer, and we want to hear about Trafalgar Square.
Yeah, look, Patchouli Dancer was a very special horse, quite interesting actually. The mare actually belonged to Ben Fourie, and I bred for him at that stage, but they were still under my name. And he went on to be Group 1 winner. Sadly, I think at one stage he was favorite or second favorite for the July, but he burst a blood vessel, and that was the end of his career. But when you think of the history of these horses, when he was a foal at foot, I took his dam to Maritzfontein, to one of their top stallions there, and on the way back, I stopped. Well, I was passing. This was at night. Passing Tromsburg, and a stone got into the drum of the wheel drum of my float, and there we stopped. So we had to offload with him at foot. And where do you go? I mean, it was the day that the Stormers, Western Cape in those days, played the final of the Currie Cup against the Free State, and Free State were beaten. So the Free Staters were certainly not celebrating, and we walked this mare back to the neighboring farm, and we had to put it into a sheep crawl because you couldn't get anybody. There was just parties everywhere and so on. Anyway, so the mare and foal stayed on the in the sheep crawl the next day, and we had to come back with a big lorry to come and fetch it. But he survived, and he went on to be, a jolly good horse. He really was a good horse. Didn't go to the sales. I think he went straight into training with Mike de Kock. So I don't have a price on him. But with Trafalgar Square by Great Britain, I took him to the sales. He was a lovely yearling. And I got a wonderful price of 15,000 Rand. He won second time out, and he's now an 8-time winner. So, I can't say that my expensive horses have been good. It's all been some of my cheaper horses have been good. There were a couple of very sad, incidents. When say incidents, horses. I bred a horse called Marensky, who was by Secret Prospector, and he was beaten first time out. He won second time out, and then I think he won 4 juvenile races, and he was due to, according to Michael Azzi, he was his favorite horse for the Guineas. And then, sadly, on New Year's Eve, he got colic, and you know what happens then, and he died. So there was a potential, you could say, Group 1 when he won a Group 2. And then the next one, I managed to get $1 million for a horse one day. I was so scared when the thing was being sold. I was shivering in the box there. But anyway, he went to, he was by Dynasty, and he went to Sean Terry. And I was just told that he was a very special horse. So he never raced, but 2 weeks before his first run, he also got colic in the stable, and unfortunately he died. So those are 2 horses that I always had great hopes for, and it never happened. But, some of my cheapies carried on to when we were a lot of Group 3 races, and this one, I've only had 1 Group 1. I've had one Group 2, and quite a few Group 3 winners. But strangely, it was a lot of the cheaper horses that did it. We didn't have top stallions here. And I think it's quite an achievement to get group winners from the stallions that we had. And the Cape is just too far for me to get down, too far, too expensive. I battle, particularly now at my age, to get down to the Cape. So, but that is just the story. Scott has told you everything about the Karoo here. I think the Karoo is a wonderful place to breed because I think we've got space. Horses run out in the field. They athletes. We're breeding athletes, not butterballs. And I think that's good for the horse. We are reputed to be breeders of very hard horses. They train on and they stand up and that sort of thing. So I think the Karoo is very good for that. But that is just why we are here. And as Scott has said, it becomes a passion. And I just hope we've got a future here because it is very expensive. There are not many sons are coming back into the game these days. So I am a little bit worried about the longevity of breeding in the Karoo. I'm a bit worried about that, but I wish them all luck. And let's go on from there. Cheers.
Let's thank you, David. Thank you very much. And what I think we're going to do, we're not going to wrap up just yet, but I want to get to everybody again and just talk about a special horse that's come off the farm. And obviously, Skulky shared with us Renounced, Ecstatic Green, etc. We obviously can't talk about all of them, else we'll be here till midnight. David, you've just touched on Patchouli Dancer and Trafalgar Square, to name but a few. So let's just go through the group that we're on and let everyone have a chance to talk about a special horse off the farm. So I'll come to you, Trev, if that's okay. Trevor Rouse, Henham stud. And we mentioned Tucson, but share with us as your. We'll come back and have a parting shot. But as your parting shot, you know, one or two of the greats that have come off your farm.
Well, the one that comes to mind that's meant the most to me is a horse he's still running called Street Art. From day one, I've never seen a day-old foal move like that horse did. He had such a nice nature and movement, and he ran. What did he ran second in the London News, and then he's been shipped to. He went to PE, and he didn't run well. Kept running on polytrack, which I don't think suited him, and they sent him back to Joburg, and he's entered to run later this week. But he was special nature-wise, and you know, I had other horses that have done better than him, but he was just a special horse, or is, you know. So that's the one that comes to mind at the moment.
Let's go down to you, Leon. You've spoken a lot about the mares, you know, and the whole story, but obviously, you know, same question applies to you. You know, a horse that you really want to talk about, or something that you've bred or that you've raced that's extra special.
Yeah, you've got to excuse me. I'm going to name 3 horses. One horse I bought from Skalkie. Skalkie bred it. Port of York was a Port Rush. We took him to Turffontein. On a Saturday morning, we left at the farm in Kimberley, probably at 4 o'clock, arrived at Turffontein, and then ran 3 lanes behind JJ the Jet Plane in that big sprint race of 2-year-olds. I can't, what's the race called? The Secretary Stake or something else. So that was a very good horse of mine. And then Pierre Strydom rode for me only twice. He rode the horse at the Val, I think on a Tuesday at the Val. We were a hot pot favorite. We finished up 7th. I ran him again the same week at Turffontein, and I gave Pierre instructions on that ride. We ran short head second, and then Pierre came back and said, listen, I think it's a very good thing if we would geld this horse. Now, by that time, she was a 3-time winner. I got massive offers for him to sell him. I never sold him. We gelded him. My wife was upset and said, don't geld him. I gelded him. He really got very difficult. We had to saddle him and lead him in the breeding, and he was a difficult horse. After we gelded him, he never, ever ran a place again.
You have to listen to your wife, Leon. Take that as a lesson.
Yeah. Then we bred a Thief of Hearts filly, where Craig Ramsey helped me a lot. I also trained horses for him in Kimberley. So this filly was out of a Kilconnell mare. She won me 11 races in Kimberley and 12 places, but she only started running as a 4-year-old. The filly that I won, the Rebel King, 2 weeks, 3 weeks back, is out of that mare. But with that horse, I flew to Australia twice. Flew to Perth, took a bet. I had money in the Commonwealth Bank account there. I still got the account. I don't think there's money. But I backed the horse at Perth, flew back to Kimberley, because remember, I was always at the bottom of the trader's log. So it's easy to have a 40 and a 50 to 1 shot always. Back the horse in Australia, the Aussie dollars, because it's you know, it's illegal to back from here. Flew to Australia, did it there, put the money in Commonwealth Bank, and then fly back again. Yeah, that horse was very good to me. And then All Three King, Nick, of the 10 mares he gave me, there was a Forest King mare that shattered a whole cannon. I bandaged that horse up and strapped her up. I slept literally with her for 3-4 months. I thought she was going to die. One veterinarian said, put her down. That horse she bred me 3 winners, and All Three King. All Three King bought me a farm. Nick trained him. He came back to Kimberley. I won his last race with him. So he ended up an 11-time winner. I think he ran something like 40 places, or in the 30. So that horse was of such, I had 78 hectares of irrigation in Kimberley. I was working as an agronomist for Sasol Fertilizers, training horses like James Bond. They never knew I had racehorses. when I was working for Sasol as an agronomist. And then I couldn't pay the electricity account twice. It didn't rain, and then the center pivots had to run all the time. I had to pump with 90 kilowatt motors at the river planting millies, trying to keep up horses. I trained 50 horses at that stage on the farm. I was completely, they say horse people are most rudest, horrible people in the world. I think I was one of them at that stage, trying to keep up. But then Eskom would come in like Thursday, cut my electricity because I didn't pay my account. I couldn't. Lock my gates with my dad can't see. I haven't got electricity. He can't come and visit me. I just ignore the phone in those days. And it happened to me twice. And then Friday, they cut my electricity Thursday. Friday, all three in King would win. Monday, they would pay me. Tuesday, I pay Eskom. Wednesday, we were cooking. We were irrigating the lawn. We were going twice. So that horse would be with me forever. I bred him myself. It was big things. A homebred, nothing to a nothing horse. It was unbelievable. That horse was so good to me. I kept him till he was really old. Then, yeah.
That's a lovely story. Yes, lovely.
Well, that's good. Dickie, can we round off with you? Dickie, were you?
Yes, sorry,
Dickie,
I
yeah.
was distracted for a moment there.
Yeah, we were wondering when
I just wanted to mention that I don't know if any of you two have been to Royspate Stud.
I've seen visuals, but I sadly haven't been there.
Yeah, it's one of the most beautiful studs around, and it's obviously because Mr. Ferraris, who's a legend in the racing game, also a good breed at his time, he built his farm. It was perfection every way, and really a wonderful place. It's in a good situation where the water here is full of calcium, good for the bone, and the fell's good as well. The other thing is that he believes very strongly on Karoo to breed racehorses. Yeah, he bought many horses a long time ago. As mentioned by one of our other colleagues, that Mr. North had a farm here with 400 horses. I know Mr. Frost told me used to go buy it. The farm just down the road here called Dwarsvlei. It's owned by Mr. North. In fact, it was bought by another guy called Norbert Early. I don't know if you remember him. He had some good racehorses himself. And I actually wrote a Gold Cup winner for him. Yeah, I wrote a Gold Cup winner for Mr. Early, his wife. It was called Humdinger in 1972. So this area is very, very well known for good horses. And the other thing is that this farm, we don't breed to sell. These are all own bred people. They breed horses here and they race them for themselves. We've got a couple of owners there. One of them is very well known as Mr. DeMarco. And of course, Mr. Frost used to breed and race himself as well when he was on the farm.
Lovely, thank you, Dickie. Yeah, wonderful stories. Sure. And now let's go to you, Marnie. Sorry, and as I say, well, you know, ladies always first, but we're having a back and forward discussion, so pardon us. But let's talk about, you know, you obviously haven't had your first runner yet, etc., but you've certainly had a successful sale. So how can we say it? I mean, let's pitch this question to you. You know, when can we see your horses on a sale next? Who's the next lot going to where? Tell us about that.
Yeah, so my first runner is due to run soon in Natal under Lola Crawford. It's Pretty Penny. It was one of my first horses sold last year on the 2-year-old.
Didn't that run yesterday, or it was carded to run somewhere, Pretty Penny?
Yeah, it was carded to run, and then she withdrew. She said it was just too wet and couldn't prep her right for that. So it is due to run. And yeah, so I've got that Okayama that sold at the Cape Sales this year. His full sister is due, beautiful filly, really, really nice filly. She'll be back at the Cape Sales next year again at the BSA sales. And then it's all new horses that I bought in. I've got a lovely digital age filly out of New Money, out of Captain Elmere, half sister to Penny Pretty. And then two new horses I bought in. I've got a lovely elusive Fort filly. She's actually very special. She's one of the only true black horses. Alan Guthrie joked when they came and ID'd her and said, no, it's not a black filly. And I said, yes, it is. And she turned out to be homozygous black. So, yeah, she's one of like only 2 or 3 pure black horses in the country, thoroughbreds, that Alan Guthrie actually ID'd. So, yeah, she's quite special. I think Leon Lotz has been eyeing her since she was born. And then, yeah, I've got a lovely colt by Erupt as well. So I've got 4 for the upcoming Cape sales next year. I'm not big enough to go to venture to the yearling sales one day. That's the dream, to have a nice string at the yearling sales. But at the moment, the Cape sales has been doing very well for me. So, yeah, that's my aim.
Excuse me. Will any of the team from the, we haven't seen the catalogue yet, but the KZN yearling sales up, has anyone from the Karoo got horses coming up to KZN?
Yes,
I've
Warren,
got 4
I
going
have.
there. Sorry.
No. So Trevor, you've got 4 coming up.
Now I've got six coming to Natal.
Right.
So yeah, we're looking forward to it, and hopefully it goes well. We've got some very nice ones, and we'll see how it goes.
And David, you said you were the other farm that had some. Is that correct?
Yeah, I've got 4 going up. 2 colts, 2 fillies. We just hope there's so many left. The sales have been very good so far this year. The Cape sales have been very high. National sales very high. I just hope it lasts. Looking at there, lots of trainers seem to be haven't bought horses yet. So let's hope the demand is still there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we must mention that Greg Morris and John Slade, Big Sky Ranch, were also the invitation was extended. Unfortunately, they couldn't make it. So there is another breeder. We don't want to leave anybody out. John Slade, Greg Morris at Big Sky. But just, I think, to bring this to a close, because we could sit here for 5 hours, ladies and gentlemen, but unfortunately we haven't got 5 hours. All that's really left to say is let the fire, the passion of breeding racehorses in the Karoo and around the country keep going, and you're all very, very special people, and I know that the industry appreciates each and every one of you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Warren.
What we must do, though, for those of you that are coming to Natal, I mean, you may have been down to the Cape, but the work that's being done here in KwaZulu-Natal under the guidance of Hollywood Bets, Gravel Racecourse, Andrew and I are going to take a walk around the racecourse now. There's been changes which you'll see on the television tomorrow, I'm sure. The future is bright, let me tell you.
Hello, Warren, can I say something?
Please do, Skulks.
I've entered 6 for the Durban sale.
Oh, wonderful.
6, 3 colts and 3 fillies. And the 1 colt and the 1 filly is out of top. Give me the green light mares. Yes. The one with both smart. The one give me the green light was a 7-time winner, and she's got a beautiful colt by Visionaire there. And then I've got another. Give me the green light mare. Yes, she was a very smart sprinter, black type, and she's got a beautiful colt also by Visionaire to go to Durban. So, but I've got 3 colts and 3 fillies for Durban.
Well, I certainly look forward. We look forward to seeing those that are coming to Durban. We really do look forward to it. And to all of you guys, I don't know what we're going to do, Andrew, because the best, never mind good quality horses, the best lamb is in the Karoo. Who's going to bring us some lamb, do you think?
Well, Skulk, you're a sheep farmer of note.
What about some Karoo lamb for you?
Yes, that's what I'll have to...
Or Springbok biltong.
There we go. Anyway, guys and girls, it's been wonderful. To each and every one of you, and to Leon for putting this together. Thanks, Leon, and we wish you guys all the very best, and just what a wonderful time we've spent together.
Thank you.
Warren, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
No problem. We'll be in touch. I'm going to get the technical team to cut the calls or do whatever they need to do, but all the very best to you all.
Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks, Warren. We'll see you then in Durban. God bless.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah, well, that's a wrap then from all of us here at In the Box Seat podcast. And Sure. I mean, I am aware of the fact that technology with signal, etc., can be difficult. I understand that.
Well,
but
they're in the middle of the Karoo.
I mean, you've got to put it into perspective. They are in the middle of the Karoo, where signal's weak. It's not. But we needed to get these beautiful people on our show, and we always focus on KZN breeders. We always focus on Cape breeders. There's Johannesburg breeders, and it was overdue to be with the Karoo breeders.
Yeah, the Karoo has always been a good place to breed horses. It's just that, as I say, it's so far away from the top stallions.
Yeah. And I say this with the greatest respect. There's some elderly gentlemen there that are so looking strong and really passionate for the game still.
I know. I just wish the younger people would actually take note and watch that and say, well, let's go and buy a farm in the Karoo.
Yeah, well, lovely that Marnie has from Blue Karoo Farmers. That seems to be some younger blood.
Yeah, well, if the Karoo was a bit closer to the Kruger, I might move there, but it doesn't work that way.
But what you think I'm being funny? I mean, the best biltong and the best lamb. I mean, during the next month or so, I'm going to get on the phone to one of the three that are coming up to Durban, pop some money in the account and get some lamb up here. It's the best lamb.
It's the best.
It is the best, indeed. Well, there we go. That's it. And of course to Greg Morris and John Slade, who sadly weren't on the chat with us. Big Sky. We'll get we'll get to them at some stage in the near future, I'm sure. But that's a wrap. Lots taking place at Hollywood Bets Gravel this season. By the time this podcast comes out, you would have known the results of all the big races on Saturday. Nothing else to add. We're going on a tour of the race course, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, I would like to see the blokes are working like bees here.
Yeah, they certainly are. That's a wrap from all of us, Andrew Harrison, Warren Lenfurner, and let's just parting the last moment give them all a thank you mention to Greg Morris and John Slade of Big Sky Ranch, David Southey, Southford Stud, Skulky van der Walt, Gelakfontein Stud, Dickie Roberts, Roy Spruit Farm, Marnie Strauss, Blue Karoo Farm, Trevor Rouse, Henham Stud, and of course Leon Lotz from Henningsfontein Stud. That's a wrap. We'll see you as always in the number one box.